Imagine the coolest main character that doesn't kill but has the most lethal aim and gun, and a mediocre story with a huge amount of fillers. That's Trigun in a nutshell. So why is the anime so popular then? Why are people so obsessed with it? Trigun is a phenomenon, and it is a philosophy. It has an insane message that you discover throughout the series. But let's first start with the truth that no one wants to hear. Trigun's pacing and story sometimes has really no logic. It's insane to the point where people discovering this anime today have no idea how this anime is so highly rated. And look, I completely understand that, but give a chance to this old man to really show you why this anime is really awesome. So first, even though the directing is a complete disaster, the characters and their chemistry really keeps you hooked until the story starts to kick in. And while it takes a while for the story to kick in, you realize that you really grew attached to the characters and to the anime itself. And maybe a late spoiler alert, I am very attached to this anime, so this review will be really biased because it is one of the first anime I have ever saw. So if there are any OGs like me in the comments or watching this video, then drop a like. And for me personally, as a long-time anime watcher, Trigun really holds the spot in the top 3, like the holy grail of the anime for myself. So it's Cowboy Bebop, it's Samurai Champloo, and it's Trigun. Honestly, the first time when I was watching the anime, I didn't realize all the flaws and the message it conveys, and I genuinely enjoyed each of these episodes. And today my view on it is completely different, but the message it conveys still remains with me, and I still really enjoy it. Vash, who is the MC, is really a cool looking dude in a red cloak who is really carrying the whole show on his back. He's super cool, he's funny, and he's goofy. I think the writing of this character is so perfect and top notch, even though he had a really difficult past and there is a lot of bad things happening to him every single day. He's still being positive, and he's always trying to smile and always trying to be kind to people. His motto is love and peace.
This land is made of love and peace. Love and peace.
Love and peace. Love and peace. And he always tries to spread it at all times. And for me, it's very relatable because my main motto in life is do good, be good. And I think we should all be a little bit more like Vash, not take life so seriously and try to be positive and smile at all times. What happens in the anime is the exact opposite of what Vash is trying to achieve. There is a lot of violence, there are people dying, and there are cities left behind damaged. And that also explains why he has a bounty of 60 trillion on his head, because his never-ending unluck brings destruction wherever he goes. And this unluck really forces him to be alone at all times, because he doesn't want to hurt any people, he doesn't want to bring any damage whatsoever. So even though he's the most social and most kind person in the whole universe, he needs to be alone most of the time. The biggest joke of the series though is Millie and Meryl, who are sent from the insurance company to try to mitigate some of the damage that Vash is causing. Yeah, good luck with that, like that's gonna happen. And really at the beginning, as I mentioned, there is really no story whatsoever. It really focuses on Vash's day-to-day life, and by all means I think it's super funny and it's really enjoyable. And while he looks really dumb and goofy, during the fights he pulls the craziest skills and tactics to really win those fights. And you are left wondering, how is that even possible? But of course, it would be perfect if there wouldn't be a catch. Vash is trying to always avoid violence and killing, so he's kind of like a pacifista. And that's really not usually possible because of the dangerous nature of the desert, where the story is revolving, and also the bounty he has on his head. It really gets me thinking, this is seriously like having a rocket launcher, but you are not able to use it. And then after a couple of episodes, one of the coolest side characters is being introduced in the story, Nicholas D. Wolfwood, a traveling priest who is really funny, similarly to Vash, so they really get together, even though at the beginning they fight between each other, but their funny nature and really silly characters really bring them together. He also carries a huge cross on his back. During the fights, you can see that Nicholas also has some crazy skills with guns and with fighting. So that's also something super cool to have a look at. I think the story really unfolds when Vash starts having flashbacks, and when a crazy guy called Legato and a gang called Gun Ho Gun starts chasing him and wants to kill him. And really what's happening most of the story is Vash is being pushed by Legato and by the Gun Ho Guns to the maximum with his pacifism. I think the turning point is really when we find out that Vash is an alien. He can grow a gun from his arm, and he has some weird backstory about his race or how he was created or stuff like this. So that's really when the story takes off and the viewer is wondering like, what the hell is going on here? And what's really sad is that the anime doesn't really expand on that. You have maybe a bit of backstory, but that's all. There is no explanation like why is that? Why does he have a gun? Why he's like a different race? And you just need to accept it. And also it doesn't expand on the story of some very interesting side characters like Wolfwood, for example, or Millie. And I want to talk a little bit about Wolfwood because, as I mentioned, I think it's one of the coolest side characters ever, and I think it's really wasted potential. His character, his design, his morals, his personality, and his chemistry with Vash and the whole gang, I think was absolutely top-notch. And lastly, his relationship with Millie, who we finally see progressing at the end. We see them together, then Wolfwood just decides that the best thing now is to die. This was really a sucker punch from the author. And with all that off the table, let's judge it. The pros. I think the characters and the setting is really great. It's set in like kind of this western style in the desert, so that's a bit unconventional, but I think it's very cool. Character development is also one of the pros. I think each view of the character really changes. Like Wolfwood, for example, realizes that maybe his killing, let's say, view or nature or everything necessary is really maybe not the right one because of Vash, and Vash realizes that maybe violence and death is inevitable, and this really shifts from his original pure pacifistic view that he was taught when he was small. Music is another pro. I think the opening and ending are super catchy. Keep in mind this is a very old anime, so you need to think about this while watching it, but I still think the music is great also during the fights, during the mid-episode breaks where there is the guitar solo, so music is really good. I think the comedy in this anime is really perfect. I think it's really the saving grace of it, and it's really something that really keeps you hooked with the characters until the story really kicks in. The fights, I think, are super cool. They are not really that long, but there is always this, let's say, surprising moments when Vash or Nicholas, for example, Wolfwood pulls some crazy stunts or some crazy skills. Let's talk about the cons. There is no world building whatsoever, so really it's the same place, basically just going from town to town, and really nothing really changes there, so it's pretty vague. The backstories of the characters are really not explored enough. I think instead of some fillers that they did, they could maybe explore some of the backgrounds, like for example, Wolfwood background would be super cool. Maybe they could explore more Knives background, Legato's background, the Ganhogan's background, like any background you can imagine, like any background. I would take anything. A lot, and I say this, a lot of fillers. But I think the fillers are actually enjoyable. If I would compare the fillers from Trigun or let's say the fillers from One Piece, I think the fillers from Trigun are super funny, and again, you can really enjoy them. The pacing, I think, is kind of weird. The story kicks in after a lot of episodes. I think you get at least half of the whole anime until some story starts, and then again you have more fillers, and then you get the final story progression is really in the last couple of episodes. But keep in mind, this is a normal pattern for all the old animes. So in Cowboy Bebop it was the same, in Samurai Champloo it was the same. For old anime this is really so a standard, so this was really how it was done before. So my ratings for Trigun as an anime are the following. Animation 8 out of 10. Keep in mind it's 28 years old. I think the animation for that time was perfect. Story 5 out of 10. Pacing 5 out of 10. Characters 10 out of 10. Music 8 out of 10. And rewatch value 9 out of 10. With this, my final verdict for Trigun is 7 out of 10. If I'm counting biased rating, then for me it's 9 out of 10 because of nostalgia. And really, I don't think Trigun is a must watch, but I think it has a lot to offer. There is a lot of comedy, a lot of life lessons you can learn, and there is really a huge message about the love and peace part. And while I think Vash is one of the most unorthodox characters ever created, I think it's very well written. If you like the video, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe if possible, it really helps. And let's make a deal here and now. Let's see each other next week.